Tim Lambesis and As I Lay Dying should be done. No more. Fans who have already given that man a second and third chance, well, he's ruined the chances again. The band, the musician, everything involved with As I Lay Dying should be left in the past. On the podcast that rock, my co-hosts Alex and Rowan and myself all have discussed the 2024 actions of Tim, from leaked videos of self-violence to rage-filled outbursts to everyone in the band leaving As I Lay Dying all in a month because they didn't feel safe. That includes their tour manager. Rowan also made a full video describing the dark actions of Lambesis toward his wife, the prison sentence, trying to make a comeback. That video is in the description if you want a more detailed breakdown with commentary on what happened up to this point. We have now learned that there is a leaked video of Lambesis kicking and striking a dog. It's not just physical violence against himself and in past relationships, but now against helpless animals. On top of that, Lambesis has gone on podcasts trying to spin the narrative and make himself look like not as bad of a guy as all that video footage shows. Though this is the internet, so I'm pretty sure the endless footage, recorded calls and messages, and police reports paint him as pretty bad of a guy.
When I have setbacks or mistakes or terrible tragedies that I've created in my life, I'd still got to get up. Like, I don't really have a choice.
It was after this podcast appearance and that the animal abuse video got leaked that Tim's ex-wife made a public statement saying that she refuses to be intimidated by Lambesis anymore. I did not release the videos that have come out of Tim Lambesis, not the ones that were released in November, nor the ones that were released today. Out of respect for me, I'm asking whoever it is leaking videos to please stop. I will no longer stay silent out of fear of Tim. The lies being told by him in the last statement and in this recent podcast are deliberate attempts to cover up the truth and play the victim, using typical Darvo tactics. There was never a domestic violence investigation against me, nor was there ever a restraining order placed against me. This is public information anyone can access online. The videos that Tim claims to have of me abusing him are instances of self-defense and outbursts against his ongoing physical and mental abuse and repeated infidelity with hundreds of people. Popping in here, hundreds of cases of infidelity? Hundreds. Not even dozens. Hundreds. 200 plus. Ugh. How did he even find time to make music? The statement I released on October 24th defending his abuse was drafted up by him and his new managers to protect his career and public image, which I have proof of. Tim has continuously tried to intimidate me, bribe me, and beg me to sign an NDA in our marriage settlement stating that I will never publicly talk about him, so that the truth will be buried when our divorce is finalized, which are all recorded conversations. I also have a recorded phone call from Tim a week ago, rationalizing and explaining why he thinks we should get back together. One more thing, how are you gonna try to swing it as a rebound and try to get back together with a person after you ask them to sign in non-disclosure agreements? They say romance is dead. I refuse to let dishonesty overshadow the pain and trauma I have endured any longer, not just to me, but to others close to this as well. This isn't just about me anymore. This is Tim's version of why his ex-bandmates left As I Lay Dying, and then there is the truth. There is no irony behind the timing of this dissolution of As I Lay Dying and our marriage. Towards the end of the relationship, Tim told me, in psychology, when someone hears a story of an abuse in a relationship from one person, they're more likely to believe that person's version because they were the first to tell the story. At the time, I didn't fully understand what he meant, but it is very clear to me now. The abusive, cheating narcissist will try to destroy your life and your name with lies before you can shine light on the truth. I am done being silent. These are the types of stories that need to be pointed out to make sure everyone knows how dangerous someone in heavy music is in real life, but it's also the stories that heavy music fans dread because this is a man who was given the perfect second chance by his fans and after a prison sentence, and this is what he's doing with it. I feel bad for the many rounds of band members who have had to leave in such an abrupt and miserable way. There were waves of band members going in and out over the years, not just the group that left in 2024. I do believe in second chances, but I also believe someone can be given too many chances. It's not about forgiveness, it's about trust. It's one thing to be forgiven, but that does not mean you should keep trusting that same person going forward. How many times are people supposed to trust a man after hearing and seeing hard evidence of his terrible behavior? On top of that, we should not be trusting someone's music or creative efforts when we know what the person continues to do outside of music. You should not trust someone who is physically violent even after prison time and continues to make violent acts against themselves, partners, animals, all of the above, unfortunately. Remember Woven War? Yeah, just stick with Woven War. Remember how there are roughly 1,000 other bands out there in the same style of As I Lay Dying that don't have a physically violent criminal who keeps trying to get chances from people? Stick with those bands. I feel like that should not have to be spelled out, but it's the internet. You really gotta break it down for everyone. As I Lay Dying had a full album come out last year with the previous band members. It was released and most people didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Tim also has promised As I Lay Dying will continue on tour next year in Europe and the US. I'm sorry, Europe. If UK wants to block Lambesis from coming coming to the country like they did with Ronnie Radke, we totally get it. Tim will most likely make some type of response. It's gonna happen. But even in the comments of that podcast interview I showed, that comment section is filled with people not believing Tim and not wanting to give Azalea Dying any more chances. This is a man who tried to hire a hitman toward his at the time wife and was busted by feds for doing it. After he got out and was forgiven, he does stuff like this. I'm done. Leave the music and Lambesis in the past. I do, however, think someone in Hollywood needs to take this premise for John Wick 5. Keanu Reeves going after a toxic metalcore singer to the exact ending you would hope for an animal abuser. And the soundtrack is by Woven War. It's perfect. Also, I admit my bias for throwing him under the bus because he hurt a dog, after being exposed for being abusive to ex-partners. I don't care what Azalea Dying fans are making an argument for. Every Azalea Dying fan still wanting to play devil's advocate and argue about how good the music was or still is, I promise I don't care. To try to make something positive out of this, I'm going to tie an ASPCA donation link to this video on YouTube to help put something towards animal safety and rescue. Even if it's just $1, thank you. That means you are willing to tell animal abusers to go screw themselves. There are also plenty of great bands out there who would never ever hurt an animal or their partners or go to prison or have mugshots taken. I feel those bands could fill the void of a metalcore band that you loved years ago. You can leave them behind. Try to find someone new that isn't awful. Finally, here's a dog. Ivan here is a bit rest broken because moving sucks, but he's getting used to the new house and he's really getting fed up of living around boxes. Please tell Ivan he's a good boy in the comments.